Fam, there's something we need to talk about, and that is location. Now, a lot of you might be wondering, where is he going with this? What does he mean we need to talk about location? Well, clearly this is photography related, but I'm talking about, I see way too frequently these days that location is going overlooked. Like, people are putting way too much thought into the model and perhaps what they're wearing, but then when it comes to the location, it's often overlooked, as in the thought might be, oh, well, we'll just make it work. And to be honest, I used to think that too. When I first started seriously doing photography about two and a half years ago, I used to just say, and this might sound like some of you, I used to just say, hey you, aka model I DM'd to collab off Instagram, let's meet at this time of day. You bring your own clothes and we'll make it work, right? And you end up walking around, taking some photos, a lot of low f-stop portraits. Please, look, we all go through it, so it's okay. I understand. We all have been there, right? There's nothing wrong with low f-stop bokeh portraits that cut out the entire background. I get it. But guys, when you get deeper into it, and I'm speaking from experience here, when you get deeper into it, you start to consider other parts of photography. And I personally think that location is one of the biggest things of your shoot that you should really be thinking about. So why do I say location? Because now when I do a shoot, collab or not, location comes first. Like, location is the biggest part of my shoot because it sets the stage for whatever else is going on. You should be spending time scouting locations and putting effort and work into finding spots that give a vibe of the shoot. So let's use my most recent shoot as an example for why location is so important, right? So I had a shoot with a client, and they wanted to shoot an editorial lookbook for their fashion show in Paris, right? And she said, I want something with fields and that was kind of prairie vibes and kind of out in the country. So I said, dope, I got you, right? So while I was driving out to a spot like 45 minutes away, because I live in the city of DC, right? There's not much there's not many places you can get like that, right? I found this park, right? And I'm walking around this park. I'm like, oh, maybe I can find some cool spots. Maybe there's something hidden here. And, a park has big open fields. Like, maybe I can finesse something. But while I was walking through this park, I found an abandoned plantation house. And on that plantation house, it was like old and very vintagey and very Victorian. And it had some very cool trees and some long rolling hills. Now, we didn't end up using that location for the shoot. But what I did was I used that location for a personal editorial shoot that I ended up shooting there like a week or 2 weeks later, right? And I'll show a couple photos here while I'm talking. And so what I did was, and please steal this, what I did is I take my phone and I just go and I take shots of the location of some general landscapes. I also take shots of like different spots where I could see the model posing, right? And I'll take those and I'll send it to my stylist or whoever I'm going to work with. And maybe you're not working with a stylist yet, you could send that to the model, right? Because let's say you're still at the point where the model is styling herself, she could at least have that inspiration to know what to style. And then maybe you could have more input, like, oh, and this is what I did. I was like, I want some prairie white dresses, some long, flowy, natural sort of milk-made prairie girl dresses. And you can see in some of these photos on the screen that, that was inspiration. So the location lended to the styling, which lended to just the entire vibe of the shoot. You kind of get where I'm getting at here? When you're just walking around and leave the makeup and styling to the model with no sort of inspiration, I mean, you can't always say I'm going for this look, but it can fall flat a little bit. This is how you take it to the next level. So, as you can see in some of these photos, it all sort of lines up. The model, the styling, the location. It all adds up for a really epic shoot, And I ended up using a completely different spot for the initial client shoot, which I mentioned. We ended up going out to a battlefield with like rolling plains. And I probably shouldn't, but I'll insert one photo here. Or maybe I'll do a little footage while I'm talking about this so you can kind of see what I'm getting at. Now, once you start thinking about location, which is very important, right? start writing them down. Have like a list of notes or somewhere like where you write down your ideas of locations that you want to shoot at or that you have shot at, because you never know if you have a gig or you're in a pinch that you could call back to that location, right? So this is super important. This will help build you as a photographer no matter where you are. If you have, something go wrong and get kicked out of a spot, like I got kicked out of a church for a shoot, we went to a backup spot which didn't work, then we went to another backup spot, and these are all spots which I had shot at before. Now, once you start thinking about location, I want to leave you with this one last tidbit of idea. And now, when you're scouting locations, right, you need to consider the time of day. The time of day is perhaps more important than the location, right? The right time of day can make a crap location look good, or it can make a good location turn bad very quickly, right? So when I scouted this location, I personally take time to shoot, at closer to sunset, right? So sun's setting at like 8 p.m. these days. I'm starting to shoot at like 5:30 or 6, right? Which is a 2-hour window when the lighting is beautiful. So when you're looking at the location for the time of day that you want to shoot or that you think you're going to shoot, you need to be looking at the same time at that location, because the sun will shift. It might be on the opposite side of the shoot. So all of a sudden it's a nice location, but the model's backlit the entire time, right? So if anything I want you to take away from this, it's put time and effort to scouting locations for your shoots. Even if they're not big shoots, just do it, and I promise it'll bring it to the next level. And then also think about the time of day you are going to be shooting, and be scouting around that time of day. Just around that time of day. That way you have a general idea of where the sun is and how it's kind of shining through in certain situations, because you might not notice, like in this photo, you might not notice the sun coming through and hitting the barn where the model could stand, and it gets her perfectly in the face. You might not notice that before because you were scouting at 1 p.m. aka the really bad time to be shooting because of just very harsh shadows. Now you can make it work, but a bad time to be shooting when your shoot is at 6 o'clock or 6:30, right? And the sun is a completely different beast at that point. And I think that's all I have to say about, the importance of location. Now, if you want to do a little bit more digging and you want to learn a little bit more, I did a YouTube video like last year about how to scout a location. So now I'm just telling you about locations and the importance. I'm telling you about how to scout a location, and I'll link it in the bio, maybe one of those notes in the corner. I don't know how that works. Whatever. So scout locations, always have a location plan to shoot around your location in the time of day of that location. Now, guys, if you're trying to take your photography to the next level, keep these in mind. Now, you're probably wondering, if you've gotten this far, why the heck do I have a votive Jesus candle? Well, it's because I am saying prayers for all of the low f-stop, heavily bokeh backlit portraits. Look, we've all been there, but look, I'm gonna light this candle for you as soon as this video is done, because I'm praying for your shoots, guys. Like, now it's summer, it's the time to do epic shoots and be outside. So please take your shoots to the next level, and thank me later. I don't know. If this helps you, show me some love. Or if you completely disagree, I will argue with you in the comments, and then I will look at your work. And then when I see your work and you're arguing against me, I will tell you why. Okay, that was kind of mean. Sorry, I'm a little pumped up here. I had some Red Bull and some beef. All right. So anyways, guys, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna do a couple more like lecture series on just photography things. May or may not have more candles. We'll see. Peace.